He saved my life. Then he made it very clear he wished he hadn't. My name is Bria Reyes. 3 weeks ago, I was tortured, broken, left to die in a basement by men who wanted information I didn't have. And then he came. Ernesto Ferrari, head of the most powerful crime family in the city. Cold. Brutal. A man who kills without hesitation and feels absolutely nothing. He found me in that basement, barely alive, bleeding, shattered, and instead of leaving me there, he took me, not to a hospital, not to safety, to his penthouse, his territory, his cage. You stay until you heal, he said. Then you disappear. For 3 weeks, I've been trapped here. He won't let me leave. Won't let me call anyone. Won't even look at me without that expression, like I'm a burden he can't wait to dispose of. But every morning, there's coffee outside my door. Every night, when the nightmares come, I hear his footsteps stop outside my room. And yesterday, when I finally broke down crying, he did something I never expected. He stayed. This is the story of how the monster who saved me became the only man I could trust. And how I became the one weakness his empire couldn't protect him from. Welcome to the Diary of Hearts. If you're new here, hit subscribe. I post dangerously addictive mafia romance stories like this 3 times a week, and once you start, you won't be able to stop. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing all the places these stories reach. Now, settle in, and let's get into today's story. The basement smelled like blood and gasoline. I'd stopped screaming hours ago. Days ago, maybe. Time had lost meaning somewhere between the 3rd broken rib and the moment I realized no one was coming to save me. My father's debts. That's what they kept saying between blows. Your father stole from us. You'll pay what he owed. But my father was dead, and I had nothing left to give except my life. That's when I heard it. Gunfire. Shouting. The sound of violence that was different from the violence they'd been inflicting on me. The door exploded inward. Men in black tactical gear flooded the basement. Professional. Efficient. Deadly. And behind them, walking through the carnage like he owned death itself, him. Ernesto Ferrari. I'd seen his face before. Everyone in this city knew the Ferrari name. Knew what it meant to cross them. Knew that when Ernesto Ferrari came for you, you didn't walk away. He surveyed the room with cold, dark eyes. Counted the bodies. Checked for threats. Then those eyes landed on me. I was chained to a pipe. Wearing nothing but torn clothes and dried blood. Too weak to stand. Too broken to care anymore if I lived or died. He stared at me for 3 seconds that felt like eternity. Then he pulled out his gun, and I closed my eyes, ready for it to end. The sound of metal breaking. Not a gunshot. He'd shot the chain. Get her, he said to one of his men. Boss, she's a witness. Liability. I said get her. Strong arms lifted me. I tried to speak, to ask why, to understand what was happening. But Ernesto had already turned away, phone to his ear. Prepare the penthouse. Medical supplies. And pull every file we have on the Reyes family. Reyes. My name. He knew who I was. The last thing I remember before passing out was his voice, cold and emotionless. She doesn't leave. She doesn't make calls. She doesn't exist until I say otherwise. I didn't know it then, but Ernesto Ferrari had just made the worst decision of his life. He'd made me his responsibility, and neither of us would survive it unchanged. I woke up in heaven. Or hell. I couldn't tell which. Silk sheets. Soft lighting. The smell of expensive cologne and something else, leather, maybe. Wood. Money. Pain radiated through every inch of my body. Broken ribs. Burns. Cuts that had been cleaned and stitched while I was unconscious. I tried to sit up. Failed. Don't. His voice cut through the room like a blade. Ernesto Ferrari stood in the doorway. Expensive black suit. Arms crossed. Expression carved from stone. Where am I? My voice came out broken, hoarse. My penthouse. Why? You have 3 rules, Miss Reyes. He stepped into the room, and I instinctively pressed back against the headboard. 1. You don't leave this penthouse. 2. You don't contact anyone. 3. You don't ask me questions. I stared at him. Tried to process.
Failed.
I don't understand. You saved me, but now I'm a prisoner? You're alive. That's more than you deserve, considering what your father did. My father.
The debts.
The reason I'd been tortured. My father's dead, I whispered. Whatever he owed. Isn't your problem. Yet. He moved to the window, looked out at the city below like he owned it. Probably did. You'll stay here until you heal. My doctor will check on you daily. When you're well enough to walk out that door and disappear, you will. Until then, you're my responsibility. I don't want to be your responsibility. He turned, and for the first time, I saw something flicker in those cold eyes. Anger. Frustration. Something darker. Neither do I, Miss Reyes. But here we are. He walked to the door.
Stopped.
There's food in the kitchen. Clothes in the closet. Everything you need. Don't test me by trying to leave. Or what? He looked back, and the expression on his face sent ice through my veins. Or I'll finish what they started. The door closed behind him with a soft click. I was alone.
Trapped.
Saved by a man who looked at me like I was a mistake he couldn't undo. And as I lay there in those silk sheets, body broken and heart racing, one thought consumed me. Why had he really saved me? And why did I feel like the answer would destroy us both? The first week passed in a blur of pain and silence. Ernesto's doctor, a stern older man named Marco, came twice a day. Changed bandages. Gave me pills that dulled the pain, but left me foggy. Ernesto himself? I barely saw him. He left before I woke. Returned after I slept. Or tried to sleep. But I knew he was there. Because every morning, without fail, there was coffee outside my bedroom door. Black. 1 sugar. Exactly how I liked it. I never told him how I took my coffee. He just knew. By the second week, I was strong enough to walk.
Carefully. Slowly.
But walk. The penthouse was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Minimalist furniture. Expensive art that probably cost more than my entire life before this. But it felt empty.
Cold.
Like the man who lived here. I started exploring. Kitchen. Living room. His office locked. And that's when the bumping started. I'd be making tea in the kitchen. He'd walk in for water. Our eyes would meet. He'd leave without a word. I'd be reading on the couch. He'd come home, see me there, jaw clenching. Then disappear into his office. One morning, I woke at 3 a.m. from a nightmare. The basement, the chains, the pain. Screamed myself awake. 30 seconds later, his bedroom door opened. He appeared in my doorway. Shirtless. Gun in hand. Eyes sharp and alert. What happened? His voice was harsh, commanding. Nothing. Just a nightmare. We stared at each other. Him silhouetted by the hallway light. Me trembling in bed. Tears on my face. He should have left. Gone back to his room. Instead, he walked to the chair in the corner of my room.
Sat down.
Gun across his lap. What are you doing? I whispered. Go back to sleep, Bria. You don't have to. Sleep. Not a request. A command. So, I did. And when I woke hours later, sunlight streaming through the window, he was gone. But there was a glass of water on the nightstand that hadn't been there before. And every night after that, when the nightmares came, and they always came, I'd hear his door open. Footsteps in the hall. He never spoke. Never touched me. Never came closer than that chair. But he stayed. Every single
night.
The man who told me I was a burden he couldn't wait to be rid of was spending his nights in a chair, watching over me like I was something precious. Something worth protecting. And God help me, I was starting to need him there. Week 3. I was healing. Body stronger. Mind clearer. And Ernesto? He was getting more distant. More cold. Like the closer I got to leaving, the harder he worked to push me away. One night he came home late. 2 a.m. I was awake. Couldn't sleep, making tea in the kitchen. He walked in. Stopped when he saw me. That's when I noticed the blood. His knuckles. His shirt. a cut above his eyebrow. "You're hurt," I said. "It's nothing." "Let me help." I said it's nothing. He moved past me toward his room. Something in me snapped. 3 weeks of silence. Of coldness. Of him saving me while acting like I disgusted him. "Why did you save me?"
He stopped.
Didn't turn around. Wrong place, wrong time. Liar. Now he turned. Eyes dangerous. "What did you just say?" I stepped forward. Ignored the fear twisting in my stomach. "You're lying. You knew who I was. You knew about my father. You could have left me there. Should have. But you didn't. So, I'm asking again. Why?"
He stared at me.
Jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping. Then he moved.
Fast.
Backed me against the counter. Hands on either side of me, caging me in. He was so close I could smell his cologne. See the cut bleeding above his eye. "You want the truth, Bria?" His voice was low, dangerous. "Your father saved my life 15 years ago. Took a bullet meant for me. I owed him a debt. He's dead, so that debt transfers to you. I saved you because I don't leave debts unpaid. That's it. That's the only reason." "Then why do you bring me coffee every morning?" His jaw clenched harder. "Why do you sit in that chair when I have nightmares?" "Bria, why do you look at me like you're fighting yourself every second I'm in this penthouse?" "Because I am." The words exploded out of him.
Raw.
Angry. True. Silence crashed between us. His breathing was heavy. Mine was caught in my throat. "You want to know why I can't stand having you here?" His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Because you make me feel things I can't afford to feel. You make me weak, distracted, human." He pushed off the counter, put distance between us. "And in my world, Bria, human gets you killed." He walked away, left me standing there, heart racing, hands shaking. But this time, I didn't let him go. "Ernesto."
He stopped at the doorway.
Didn't turn. "That cut above your eye is still bleeding. You should let me clean it." 5 seconds of silence. Then, "Fine." And when he sat on the couch and let me tend his wounds with shaking hands, when our eyes met and neither of us looked away, everything changed. I should have known the peace wouldn't last. 2 days after I'd cleaned Ernesto's wounds. 2 days of almost normal. Him leaving coffee. Me making dinner. Careful conversations that felt like tiptoeing through a minefield. Then they found me. It was 3 a.m. I was in bed, half asleep. The sound of shattering glass jolted me awake. Gunfire. Shouting.
Chaos.
My door slammed open. Ernesto. Gun in hand. Eyes wild. "Get up.
Now."
What's happening? Now, Bria? He grabbed my arm, pulled me out of bed. We ran through the penthouse. Bullets tearing through walls behind us. He shoved me into a closet. "Stay here. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Ernesto. I'll come back for you. I promise." The closet door closed. Darkness. The sound of gunfire. His voice shouting orders in Italian. I counted. 1 minute.
5. 10.
Silence. Then the closet door opened. Ernesto. Blood on his face. On his hands. Shirt torn. "Are you hurt?" His hands were on me. Checking. Searching for injuries. "I'm fine. You're bleeding." "I'm fine." But he wasn't. I could see the wound. Shoulder. Gunshot. "You got shot protecting me." "It's nothing." Ernesto. "They came for you, Bria." His voice cracked.
Raw.
Desperate. "They found out you're here. With me. They'll keep coming until one of us is dead." He pulled back. Ran a hand through his hair. Blood staining the dark strands. "This is why I can't. Why you can't," he stopped. Started again. "You need to leave. Tonight. I'll arrange transport. New identity. Money. You disappear and never look back."
What?
"No. This isn't a discussion. I'm not leaving. You have to."
Why?
"Because you can't protect me? Or because you're too scared to admit you care?" He stared at me, breathing hard, blood dripping from his shoulder. eyes full of something that looked like pain. I care, he said quietly. Dangerously. That's the problem. I care so much that I just killed 6 men without blinking because they dared to break into my home and threaten you. I care so much that the thought of you hurt. Scared, gone, his voice broke. It's the only thing that terrifies me anymore. My eyes filled with tears. Then why are you pushing me away? Because caring about you will get you killed. Maybe I'd rather risk dying than live without you. The words hung between us.
True. Terrifying.
Irreversible. He moved.
Fast.
Hands cupping my face. Eyes searching mine. Say that again, he whispered. I'd rather. He kissed me.
Desperate. Hungry.
Like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. And I kissed him back. Hands fisting in his torn, bloody shirt. Pulling him closer. This man. This dangerous, broken, beautiful man who'd saved me and pushed me away and watched over me in the dark. You're mine, he breathed against my lips. You've been mine since the moment I carried you out of that basement. I just didn't want to admit it. Then stop fighting it, I whispered. I'm already yours, Ernesto. I have been for weeks. God help us both, he murmured, and kissed me again like the world was ending, and I was the only thing worth saving. We moved to the safe house before dawn, a place even his enemies didn't know about.
Smaller.
More isolated. Just us. I stitched his shoulder wound while he sat shirtless on the couch, jaw clenched against the pain. You're good at this, he said quietly. I had practice. 3 weeks of watching Marco patch me up. I'm sorry. His voice was rough. For all of it. For what they did to you. For bringing you into my world. You saved me from dying in that basement, and brought you into another hell. I tied off the stitch. Met his eyes. You're not hell, Ernesto. He caught my wrist.
Gently.
Like I might break. I need to tell you something. About why I really saved you. You said my father. I lied. He pulled me down to sit beside him. Your father did save my life. That part was true. But I paid that debt years ago. When he died, I made sure his family was protected. Made sure you were safe. My breath caught. You've been watching me? For 2 years. After he died. Making sure the people he crossed didn't come for you. His thumb traced circles on my wrist. The night I found you in that basement, I'd been tracking you for 3 days. Knew they'd taken you. Planned the raid specifically to get you out. Tears spilled down my face. Why? Because your father's last words before he died were, "Promise me you'll watch over my daughter. She's all I have." And I promised. He cupped my face, wiped away my tears. But somewhere between watching you from the shadows and carrying you out of that basement, it stopped being about a promise. What did it become? Obsession.
Need.
Love. His voice cracked on the last word. I fell in love with you before you even knew I existed, Bria. And when I finally had you in my home, I fought it every day because loving you makes you a target. I don't care. You should. I don't. I leaned closer. I fell in love with you too, Ernesto. With the man who brings me coffee, who watches over me at night, who'd rather push me away than risk me getting hurt.
He kissed me. Soft this time. Reverent.
You're not leaving, he murmured against my lips. Ever. This life, this protection me, it's all yours now. Promise. I promise. You're mine, Bria Reyes. And I protect what's mine with everything I have. He carried me to the bedroom, claimed me with gentle hands and fierce words, made me his in every way that mattered. And in the morning, wrapped in his arms, watching sunlight filter through the curtains, I finally understood. He'd saved me from death. I'd saved him from himself. And somewhere between the nightmares and the coffee and the nights he watched over me, we'd become each other's only safe place in a world that wanted us destroyed. I love you, I whispered. I love you more, he said. And I'll spend the rest of my life proving it. The Mafia boss who dragged me out of hell had become my heaven. I was the one weakness his empire could never protect him from. But he didn't need his empire anymore. He had me, and I had him, forever. And that's how Bria Reyes went from dying in a basement to becoming the one thing Ernesto Ferrari's empire couldn't protect him from: his heart. Question: would you trust a mafia boss who rescues you, traps you, then spends every night watching over you from a chair in the dark?
Comment below.
If you love this story, hit subscribe. 3 new dangerously addictive mafia romance stories drop every week, and trust me, the next one will wreck you. Share this with your romance-obsessed friends. New story drops Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Remember, sometimes the man who saves you becomes the only one you can't survive without. See you next time.